Not all elevators in the world look normal and safe. There are some that once you ride them, you just want to back out immediately. Some are even right on the edge of a cliff. Some are surrounded by glass and are so high that you almost tremble as you go up. And in this video, let's go through some of the scariest elevators in the world, one by one. But before we start the discussion, I just want to ask you for a like and please subscribe to Arvin Polo TV. This is a huge help for us content creators. So let's get started. Number 1, Bailong Elevator, China. On a famous mountain in China, there's an elevator attached right to the side of a very tall rock. When you look at it from below, it seems impossible that there's an elevator there. It's even scarier because only glass separates you from the very deep cliff. This is called the Bailong Elevator, or 100 Dragons Elevator. According to the Guinness World Records, it is the tallest outdoor elevator in the world. It stands over 300 meters tall. In fact, it's even taller than the Eiffel Tower. At the start of the ride, it feels just like an ordinary elevator because it's still inside the mountain. It's dark and enclosed. But soon, the view suddenly opens up, and that's when the nerves kick in. In an instant, you'll see the incredibly deep ravine and giant rocks that seem to float in the clouds. They say this is also the place that inspired the floating mountains in the movie Avatar. Because the view opens up so suddenly, many tourists end up screaming or immediately holding on inside the elevator. It can carry almost 50 people per trip, and what used to be an almost 2-hour climb up the mountain now takes just over a minute using the elevator. But when it was first built, many people opposed it. Some said it might ruin the natural beauty of the mountain. It was even temporarily closed before due to safety and environmental concerns. But after inspections and review, it was allowed to operate again. And up to now, millions of tourists have ridden it. But even so, it's still a different feeling when you're inside the glass elevator, watching the ground get farther and farther below. Number 2, Aquadom, Germany. In Berlin, Germany, there was once a hotel with a unique elevator inside. In the middle of their lobby, there was a huge aquarium filled with tropical fish and various sea creatures. And what's even more unique is that there's an elevator right in the middle of the aquarium. As people go up, they're surrounded by fish in every direction. It's like you're underwater while you're in the elevator. According to reports from Reuters and BBC, that aquarium contains more than 1 million liters of water. It was also once one of the largest cylindrical aquariums in the world. But in December 2022, something shocking happened. In the early morning, the giant aquarium suddenly burst. In just a few seconds, a huge amount of water poured out. The hotel's glass windows shattered, the lobby was flooded, and the water even reached the street outside. Some hotel guests woke up because they thought there was an earthquake or a big explosion. 2 people were injured by flying debris and broken glass, but miraculously no one died in the incident. However, thousands of fish did not survive after the aquarium was destroyed. According to investigators, the acrylic material of the aquarium may have weakened over time. Until now, it has not been restored. And the elevator that once felt like an underwater experience is now just a memory of one of the most unique elevator disasters in the world. Number 3, Scenic Railway, Australia. This is not a normal elevator, and it's not just a simple train ride either. In the Blue Mountains of Australia, there's a railway so steep that many tourists feel like they're falling straight down the mountain. It's called the Scenic Railway. According to the official tourism information of New South Wales, this is one of the steepest passenger railways in the world. As it descends into the Jameson Valley, people feel like they're going almost straight down, especially when it's set to what's called the cliffhanger mode. And that's when the nervousness begins. In that setting, the carriage tilts more forward, so the passengers in front almost immediately see the cliff right in front of them. It only lasts for a few seconds, but it feels like the ground beneath your seat disappears. That's why many people immediately hold onto the armrest as the railway goes down. Others just keep their eyes closed for the entire ride. It's even scarier because the carriage has a glass roof. As you go down, you can clearly see the tall rocks and cliff walls passing by, almost touching the top of your head. But what's even more interesting is its history. In the 1800s, this wasn't made for tourists. It was built for coal miners who used to work under the mountain back then. They only used open carts while going down the steep tracks to mine coal, and according to local history reports, the railway was extremely steep back then. That's why sometimes the carts would slide down almost out of control. Because of this, some miners used to call it the Mountain Devil. Eventually, it was turned into a tourist attraction after World War II, and it has been repaired and made safer several times. But even though it's modernized now, the fear still doesn't go away when you feel the carriage going down and all you see in front of you are cliffs. And even though it's surprising to think about, 100,000 tourists still choose the Scariest setting every year. Number 4, Gateway Arch Tram, United States. In St. Louis, Missouri, there's a giant arch that's very famous in America. It's called the Gateway Arch. According to the National Park Service, this is the tallest monument in the United States. But to reach the viewing area at the very top, you need to ride one of the most cramped and unusual elevator systems in the world. They don't use a normal elevator here. Instead, you'll ride a small capsule that can barely fit 5 people. Once you're inside, it feels like you're in a small washing machine or a submarine capsule. The ceiling is low, the space is cramped, and the passengers inside are almost pressed against each other. As the tram goes up inside the arch, the capsules rotate and tilt to follow the curve of the structure. Because of this, many first-time visitors feel nervous as they hear the sounds of gears, chains, and motors inside the steel structure. For those with claustrophobia or fear of tight spaces, this is said to be one of the most uncomfortable elevator rides you can experience. And what's even more nerve-wracking is that as you go up, you know you're inside a narrow steel structure that's hundreds of feet above the ground. According to the official information from the Gateway Arch, the tram system that was first opened in the 1960s is still being used today. And even though millions have ridden it over many decades, many still say that the ride going up is scarier than the actual view at the top. Number 5, Falkirk Wheel, Scotland. If you think that elevators on this list are only for people in Scotland, there's an elevator that's literally for boats. It's called the Falkirk Wheel. It's a giant rotating boat lift that connects 2 canals in Scotland. Instead of a normal lock system, the entire boat itself is lifted up along with the water. And yes, while the tourists are inside the boat, they are slowly lifted into the air as the whole structure rotates. It's like a giant Ferris wheel, but with boats as the passengers. According to the official engineering information of the project, it rises almost 35 meters. And even though the structure is extremely heavy, its movement is surprisingly smooth. While it rotates, the water gondolas remain level, so the water inside hardly moves. But even though it's stable, it still feels different when you know you're inside a boat hanging in the air, while the giant metal structure slowly rotates around you. When this was first opened in the early 2000s, many engineers were amazed because of its unique design. And until now, it remains one of the most unique transportation systems in the world. It may not be the scariest on the list, but it's definitely one of the most unique. Number 6, Hamid Hamachwand Elevator, Switzerland. In Switzerland, there's an elevator that feels like it's taking you straight up to the sky. It's attached to the side of a very tall cliff near Lake Lucerne. And when you're inside, all you can see while going up is mostly air and the cliff. It's called the Hamid Hamachwand Elevator. According to Switzerland's official tourism information, this is the highest outdoor elevator in Europe. It goes straight up for more than 150 meters. But what's even more nerve-wracking is that it's not enclosed like a normal building elevator. It's right on the open cliffside. As you go up, you can feel the wind around you, and you can clearly see the very deep lake below. When it's windy, sometimes the passengers can feel it. The elevator moves slightly, and that's when people hold on to the railings even tighter. It's even more surprising when you find out that it was first built in the early 1900s. That means it's been in use for over 100 years. Of course, it has been repaired and modernized several times to make it safer. But many people still get nervous when they think about going up the side of a cliff using an elevator with a history of more than a century. In the last part of the trip, the rocks suddenly disappear. When you look to the side, it's all open air around you. It feels like you're just hanging in midair. And when you reach the top, you'll see the vast view of the Alps and Lake Lucerne. The scenery is beautiful, but for some people, the nervousness is still stronger than the excitement. Number 7. Luxor Inclinator, Las Vegas. When we think of elevators, we automatically think of going up or down. But in a hotel in Las Vegas, the elevator moves diagonally. And that's exactly why many first-time visitors feel uneasy about it. The Luxor Hotel is shaped like a giant pyramid. Because the walls of the building are slanted, they can't use a normal vertical elevator. That's why they made what's called an inclinator. It's like an elevator that moves diagonally along the side of the pyramid. At first, it sounds like a simple thing, but when you're inside, it feels different. As you go up, you can feel that the movement isn't normal. It's like something's off with your body's balance. Our brains are used to elevators going straight up. But here, it goes up diagonally while you see the huge open space in the middle of the hotel. And because the inside of the pyramid is hollow, the atrium below is extremely wide. As you travel up, it feels like you're hanging in the air with a very deep drop below you. There are even some tourists who immediately hold onto the wall because they feel like they're going to slip. According to hotel information, this system has been used since the 1990s, and up to now, it's still one of the most unique elevators in Las Vegas. It's not dangerous, but it's definitely one of the weirdest to experience. Number 8, Santa Justa Lift, Portugal. In the middle of the narrow streets of Lisbon, Portugal, there's an old elevator tower that looks like it's straight out of the 19th century. This is called the Santa Justa Lift. It's one of the most famous landmarks in Lisbon and is still in use today. At first glance, it just looks like a beautiful old structure, but when you're at the top, that's when you feel how unsettling it really is. It's made of iron and was first opened in the early 1900s. According to local tourism records, it's one of the remaining old vertical lifts in the city. As the wooden cabin goes up, you can hear the sound of the old mechanism and the surrounding metalwork. There are creaks and the hum of machinery. And because the tower is exposed, you can clearly see the street below as you go up. In the observation area at the top, many tourists enjoy the view of Lisbon. But for others, they're more preoccupied with thinking about how old the structure they're standing on is. And even though it has been in use for more than a century, it still operates to this day. Number 9, the Paternoster elevator in Europe. This is probably the most unique elevator on the entire list because it has no doors, no buttons, and most of all, it doesn't stop. The Paternoster elevator is like this. It's a continuously rotating chain of small compartments. While it's moving, you have to get on while it's in motion, and you also have to get off while it's still moving. If you don't get off at the right floor, you'll just keep going up and down with the system. It's like a conveyor belt, but it's an elevator. According to reports in Europe, this has a higher accident risk compared to normal elevators. That's why most new Paternoster systems have been banned since 1990. But to this day, some are still operating in Germany, the Czech Republic, and other parts of Europe. The scariest thing about this is that it's like old machinery that doesn't care whether you're ready or not. You need to have the right timing when getting on and off. If you make a mistake, you could fall or get stuck. But even so, a lot of people still use this every day like it's just normal. And for first-time tourists, this is one of those elevator experiences they won't forget anytime soon. Number 10, Skyview, Sweden. In Stockholm, Sweden, there's a giant white building that looks like a huge ball sitting in the middle of the city. It's now called Avicii Arena, formerly known as Ericsson Globe. According to official records, it's one of the largest hemispherical buildings in the world. But what's even more unique is that there's a glass gondola that crawls along the outside of the spherical structure. It's like there are two transparent capsules slowly climbing up the side of the giant gondola. And that's where some tourists start to feel nervous. As the gondola goes up, its movement isn't straight. It climbs in a curve. At first, it feels normal. But as it goes higher and higher, the angle of the gondola gets steeper until you feel like you're hanging on the side of a giant ball. Since everything around you is glass, you can easily see how high you are from the ground. According to Stockholm's tourism information, the whole ride lasts about 20 minutes, and up to 100,000 visitors ride it every year. It's not dangerous at all. The system is fully enclosed and modern. But according to many tourists, it really feels different to move along the curved surface of a giant building. It's like your sense of balance gets confused as you go up. There are even some people who don't look down for the entire ride. And when you reach the top, you'll see the vast view of Stockholm and the islands around it. It's a beautiful, beautiful view. But for some people, one ride is enough for them, and they don't want to do it again. Number 11, Imponing Mine Elevator, South Africa. While the other elevators on this list go up to high places, this one goes straight down underground. And it's not just underground, it's in one of the deepest gold mines in the world. The Imponing gold mine in South Africa goes almost 4 kilometers deep into the Earth's crust, according to reports from the mining industry and international sources. To get there, miners have to ride a giant steel cage elevator. And this is probably one of the scariest elevator rides a person can ever experience. Inside the cage, people are packed tightly as it quickly descends down the dark vertical shaft. There's no view, no lights outside, just steel, the hum of the machine, and complete darkness. On the first drop of the elevator, it immediately descends more than 2,000 meters in just a few minutes. As it goes down, the passengers feel the pressure in their ears and a sudden heaviness in their stomachs because of the speed of the descent. And it doesn't end there. When they reach the bottom of the first shaft, the miners transfer to other elevators and underground vehicles to reach the deeper parts of the mine. At the very bottom, the rocks around are extremely hot because of the depth of the place. According to mining reports, the temperature can reach extremely high levels. That's why they use cooling systems to make the tunnels survivable. And because of the depth of the mine, small seismic events or ground tremors are also normal there. In 2020, according to reports, some miners died after an underground seismic incident in the mine. So for those who work here every day, it's not just the heat and cramped space they have to deal with, but also the dangers brought by the very depths of the earth itself. And even though some miners are already used to this elevator, many journalists and first-time visitors are not. Say that this is one of the scariest rides they've ever experienced. Because as you go down into the very deep pit where the darkness seems endless, only one thing comes to your mind. If something happens to that elevator, you have no other way out. Number 12, Strapitio Boat Lift, Belgium. In Belgium, there's an elevator where people are not the main passengers. It lifts boats. It's called the Strapitio Boat Lift. And according to official tourism information in Wallonia, it's one of the largest boat lifts in Europe. The idea behind it is simple. When there's a barge or a large canal boat that needs to go up from a lower canal to a higher canal, it doesn't have to go through many old locks anymore. Instead, the boat enters a huge water tank. Then the gate is closed, and the entire tank, along with the water in the boat inside, slowly rises up. It's like an elevator. But the one being lifted is an entire boat. It rises more than 70 meters. This means that while you're inside the tourist boat, you'll feel the ground slowly moving away below you. It's not fast, it's not rough either, but it's still nerve-wracking to think that you're inside a boat floating on water while that very water is being lifted into the air by a giant machine. The old process, which required passing through many old locks, has been made much faster by this modern boat lift. And for engineers, its design is impressive. But for the ordinary passenger, it's a different story. Because when you look to the side and see how high you are above the canal, it's hard not to think about how much trust you're putting in steel, cables, concrete, and engineering. Number 13, Burj Khalifa Elevators, Dubai. When it comes to height, it's hard to beat the Burj Khalifa in Dubai. According to the Guinness World Records, this is the tallest building in the world. It stands over 800 meters tall, and because it's that tall, it doesn't need an ordinary elevator. It needs an elevator that's extremely fast, super smooth, and can bring people to very high floors in just a short amount of time. At the Burj Khalifa, the elevator going to the observation deck goes up really fast. In just about a minute, you're already at a very high part of the building. Usually, passengers feel pressure in their ears while going up, just like when an airplane ascends quickly, but it's not dangerous. The system is designed to be as comfortable as possible, But it still feels different when you know you're inside an elevator going up the tallest building in the world. And there's another thing that tourists don't always think about. Extremely tall buildings move a little when the wind is strong. That's normal in engineering. It doesn't mean the building is unsafe. There really needs to be a little movement so it can handle the pressure from the wind. But if you're the one up there and you know the whole structure is moving slightly, you're definitely going to feel nervous. When the weather is clear, the view from the top is amazing. You can see Dubai, the sea, and the desert in the distance. But when there's a sandstorm or the air is dusty, you might barely see anything. And that's when you'll feel that no matter how modern the elevator is, you're still inside a very tall tower standing in the middle of the desert. Number 14, Tower of Terror. This one isn't a real elevator for daily use. It's a theme park ride. But this was made to let people experience one of the scariest ideas. What if the elevator you're riding suddenly drops? The Tower of Terror can be found in some Disney parks. The whole ride is like an old hotel elevator that suddenly has a problem. You'll ride inside an elevator-style cabin. It goes up slowly. The surroundings are dark. There are sound effects. The lights suddenly go out. And while you know something is going to happen, you don't know exactly when it will drop. That's where the fear comes from. Not just from the drop itself, but from the waiting. In some versions of the ride, the pattern of going up and dropping is different. So even if you've ridden it before, you still don't know the timing. Sometimes it goes up first, sometimes it stops, then suddenly it drops. And in that moment, you feel your body lift off the seat because of the sudden force of the drop. Your mind knows this is a safe ride. You know it's just a theme park. But when the elevator door closes and it starts going up in the dark, your body tells you something different. Number 15, multi-elevator, Germany. In Germany, there's an elevator concept that seems like it's from the future. It's called Multi, developed by TK Elevator. And what's unique about it is that it doesn't have a traditional cable. In a normal elevator, there's a cable that pulls the cabin up and down. But Multi uses magnetic technology. It's similar to the idea used in maglev trains. Because there's no cable, it can do more than just move up and down. It can also move sideways. This means the elevator cabin can go up, move to the side, then go up again to another shaft. It's like a train inside the building. According to TK Elevator, this system has been tested at their test tower in Rottweil, Germany, which was built for advanced elevator technology. For engineers, this is a big deal, because in the future, more elevator cabins can move with fewer shafts. This will save more space in tall buildings, and the design of skyscrapers will become more flexible. But for ordinary passengers, the feeling will definitely be different. We're used to elevators only going up and down. That's what's normal. But here, you're inside a metal cabin with no traditional cable, and suddenly it moves sideways. It's not because it's broken, but because that's really the design. And that's the reason why this is the most unique elevator on the list. It's not scary because it's old. It's not scary because it looks dangerous. It's scary because it seems to violate what we think is normal elevator movement. For many years, the elevator was just a simple box that goes up and down. But with this technology, our whole idea of how people move inside tall buildings could change. And maybe someday the elevator that used to only go straight up will become like a small train traveling inside a skyscraper.